Hello everyone and welcome to the sixth and hopefully the final part of this tutorial series, and in this one I'll be showing you how to build the library screen. So here's a screenshot of what we want to achieve in the library screen. You can see we're still going to make use of the same video list, but we're going to restyle it for this type of display. So here's what we want to achieve. So let's head over to Android Studio and let's get started. So over in Android Studio you could you'd create a new file in the screens folder. Over here you just create a new file and name it library. So we'll create a stateless widget for this and we'll name it library screen. Yeah, next thing would be to import material.dat. Cool, we'll change this to a list view because we want the view to be scrollable, and we'll also pass it the children, and let's just put some dummy content here. Library. Cool. So let's save this and update this in YouTube main. So over here we'll replace this dummy text we have over here with the new widgets we just created. Cool, save this and see. Okay, nice. So everything is working. So let's head back to our library.dat and let's take a look at the screenshot to see what we want to achieve. So first we're going to have a list view. We're going to have a first section over here, which is a recent section. Then we'll have this personal section and also offline and playlist. So let me just put some dummy text here. So the first section would be, let's take this to the side, recent. Okay, next one, let me just use some text to as placeholders. So the next one is personal. This one is offline. The final one is playlist. Cool. So these are just placeholders for the content we want to create. So let's head over and create the first one, which is the recent section. So I'll create a new function that returns a widget like we've been doing from previous videos. So I'll name this build recent, and it's going to return a column, and the first child of the column is going to be a text with the word recent. I could just put this by the side. This doesn't resize like this. Why? Okay, cool. So the first is going to be the text recent. Then the next item is going to be our video list widget. So we'll import it. Then list data is going to be YouTube data. Would also import that. So the next item would be, let's save it and see how that looks. Okay, we have to call it over here. So build recent. Cool, and let's see how that looks. Okay, so we can see it over here. So the next thing would be to just give this text some padding. Or before giving it some padding, let's do something to the alignment of this text up here. So we could just do the cross-axis alignment, which is going to align it based on the horizontal axis. So we'll just do start. Let's save and see. Cool, it pushes this. So we could just add some padding. I'll just wrap this in a container and add a padding to it. So I'll add a padding to the top and to the left of just the text. And we'll save it and see how that looks. Cool, that looks okay. So the next thing will be to style this video list to display horizontally. So this is what we want to achieve. We want a horizontal scrolling video list. So we head over to our video lists file and would add a new property called, let me just duplicate this line, is horizontal list. So whenever I pass this property, it should render a horizontal scrolling list. So horizontal list, cool. Then would also add this dot and make it default false. So over here in library, we could just add this additional property, is horizontal list equals to true. Cool. So the next thing, I think we'll still work on this padding, but let's just keep progressing. Oh, okay. We'll just keep progressing. So the next thing would be to create this new horizontal list view. So let's minimize all this and we'll create a new function. And we'll name it build horizontal list. Which should have the context, and also we'll pass it the index as a parameter. So cool. So let's see. So for this horizontal list, it's going to be horizontal scrolling list. So we're going to edit this functionality over here. So in our build method for the video list, we'll just put a simple if statement. So what we'll do here, we'll say if is horizontal list. If is horizontal list, return this, then else we just return this. Cool. So over here would create a separate list view. So we'll use a normal list view, which is going to scroll horizontally. So we'll use the list view.builder and would also pass it this function. Let me bring this down. Would also pass the context and the index, because this is an index widget builder. So we'll do this and Okay, cool. So the next thing to do would be to also pass the item count. So simply just like this same thing, we're just repeating the functionality. So we're passing the item count, and it's going to be list data.length. List data.length. Cool. So for this, another property, which is the main property we're going to pass, is going to be the scroll direction, and it's going to be horizontal, axis.horizontal. So that is the property that is going to make this video list scroll horizontally. So what are we going to return over here? We're going to return the build horizontal list. So return build horizontal list. Okay, so if it is a horizontal list, you should return this horizontal scrolling list, else return the normal list we have here, like we've previously created before. So let's head over and build this horizontal list. So to just check this works, I could just simply return a text saying this is horizontal list or something like that, to see if our logic is working, just to test horizontal list. Let's work on our typo first of all. Horizontal list, cool. Horizontal list, cool. So one of the reasons why this is not showing is going to give us the render box. So we've tackled all these things before. So the next thing to do would be to just place that video list in an expanded widget. So we head over to our library and wrap this video list in an expanded widget, and I've explained why we're actually doing this in previous videos. So we'll just wrap it in an expanded widget, and we should see the text over here. Okay, why is that not showing? If is horizontal list, let's check our logic. Is horizontal list equals to true? Are we still having that box constraint stuff? Render flex children has 0 flex heights. Blah blah blah. Okay, let's give it a height. Since from the screenshot over here we can see this section actually has a specific height. This recent section has a specific height. So to achieve that, we'll just, where are we going to wrap this? We're going to wrap this stuff in a container. And we'll give it a height. Oh no, let me check where we would actually want to give this height. Okay, build recent. Okay, we would not do that for this now. We might wrap this stuff in a container, but for now let's leave it this way and wrap this column in a height. So what we just want to achieve here is for this recent section over here to have a height. So we'll just wrap this build recent in a column container, and we'll give it a height of let's say 210. Cool, we can see everything comes to place. So we can see this section over here, the height from here to here is actually 210 dp. So let's continue, and we can see our dummy text over here. You can see it's laid out horizontally. So let's head back to our video list and continue with this design. So for this stuff, we're going to actually return a container, the width of this container is going to be 336, and I'm getting this width from, it's going to be 336 divided by 2.2, and I got this value from the width of this actual image. Remember in previous videos when we checked the width of this image, the original width of this image is 336 and the height is 188. So I'm just dividing it by the actual width, so we won't have an image that is cut up. So that is that for that width. So the next thing we'll do would be to have a decoration, because we want to add the image. So we'll pass in a box decoration, and we have the image property, and we'll pass in the decoration image. Network image will pass in list data index dot channel. Is it channel avatar? It's not channel avatar. Okay, thumbnail. Cool. So what next? Let me see if I'm actually doing something right. Okay. So the next thing would be, I think I'm making a mistake. Let me just check my logic. Okay, I don't think we are not going to put this decoration image for now, because let me just show you what we want to create. So first of all, we have this container, which is the house of both this image and also this text over here, and that has the width of probably 360 divided by 2.2. And inside this container we want to have a column that would have this image and also this text. So we're going to remove this decoration image and would remove this. We just cut it out. Then what we need to pass here would be the child, and the child should be a column. So we have the column over here, and the children. Inside the children, the first item is going to be this image, so we'll put that in a container. So we have container. Cool. And we'll paste the previous stuff we just did. Okay, so we have this, so we also give it a width of 336 divided by 2.2, and also give it a height of 188 divided by 2.2. Currently I don't know how to get the actual image dimensions from a network image. I don't know how to do that, so that is why I'm just passing in the manual values and dividing it. If you know of a way to do that, I would also love to learn that. You can comment that in the post that in the comment section so I can learn from you. So I think that is cool. So we can see what we're achieving right here. So we have the first stuff, which is the container housing everything. Then we also have a column inside it which houses this image and also this text. The first child of the column is this image over here, and the second child should be this text over here. So let's save this and see if everything is working. So everything is currently looking okay, and you can see it's scrolling horizontally. So the next thing to do would be to have a row, because we want to place this text by the left side of the row and this icon as the second item of the row. So the next child would be a row. So the row is going to have a children. So the first, let's see, the first item of this row is going to be this column, because this stuff is a column. We have the first text and the second text over here, so it's going to be a column. And the second item is going to be, the second item of the row is going to be this icon over here. So remember, like I told you, a row is placed horizontally. So this is the first child, which is the column, and the second one should be this icon over here. So I'll just put an icon. So for the column, the first child is going to be this text, which is the video title. So pass in a text, and it's going to be title. And the next, oops, I'm supposed to put this in a children, sorry about that. So the next one is going to be channel name, I think, channel title. Cool. So we would save this, and it's gonna give us some errors because we need to use expanded somewhere. Okay, cool. You can see this row is actually overflowing. So to solve that, we're gonna put this column over here. You see, you can't see the icon, this icon, you can't see it because of it's actually overflowing. So what we're going to do would be to wrap this column in an expanded widget. And you could see everything is going to shrink. Cool. So you can see everything just shrinks now. We have this first item of this row and the second item here. So the expanded means that this icon should take its original size, while this text over here, this column over here, should take up the remaining space. That is why we don't have an overflow again. So we're making progress. So the next thing to do would be to actually position these stuffs and also style them. So for the column, for the row, first of all, for the row, we're going to do a cross-axis alignment and take everything to start at the top so that this icon could move to the top. So we'll do a cross-axis alignment and pass in stats. Cool, so everything goes to the top. And also for this column, we could also do the cross-axis alignments to also start. So to take this name over here to start from the left-hand side. So we'd also do the same thing, cross. So I'll just copy this. So it should shift it to the left over here. Cool. So that is working. So the next thing to do would be to also first let's give this stuff a padding. So in our container here, we could just have a padding of padding of 8. Let's see how that looks. Is 8 too much? It is not too much. It is okay. So what we need to do is just to reduce the font size of this text. So I'll just do that quickly. So reduce the font size and give it 12, and we'll also copy that for this, and also give it a font size of 12. Cool, you can see the font sizes are small. So the next thing would be also to change the font color of the second one to give it a kind of like a gray color. So colors dot gray. So it shouldn't be much gray. So okay, I think 700 is okay. We'll leave it at 600. So we can see we are actually making progress here. So the next thing we are noticing over here is, if you look here, this stuff has a padding over here. The padding space here is quite bigger than this, and the reason is because of over here I gave a padding of 8. So you have 8 by all sides. So you have 8 here, 8 at the top, 8 bottom, and 8 by the right. So for this, the reason why you're having this big space is because of there's a padding of 8 by the right hand side of this and a padding of 8 by the left hand side of this. So in addition, over here you have a total padding of 16 dp, and over here you just have a padding of 8. So to solve this, we could just head over to our video list and in our build method over here and just give the list view builder a padding. I think it has a padding, yeah, and give it a padding of 8 pixels. So that's going to add an extra 8 dp over here. So we'll just add a padding of let me check the image. Okay, we could just do all and see if that is okay. So we'll pass in 8 and everything should be normal. Okay, cool. So everything looks cool. So let's head back to the horizontal list, and we could also reduce the size of this icon and also the color. So let's see, size equals to 12. Is that going to be too small? 12. Okay, this looks good. So the next thing would be, for if you check our image over here, the text over here just has a maximum line of 2. So it can't go more than 2 lines, but you can see from our designs we have 3 lines. So we can actually change this behavior over here in our text property. Would see max lines and we give it 2. You can see it has a max line of 2, but you can see the text just cuts off. So to do that, we'll handle how Flutter handles our overflow. So we'll set an overflow property of ellipsis. So we'll just have that 3 dot over there. So you can see the 3 dots will be added over here, just like how you have it on YouTube. So cool, we have the 3 dots over here. So we're actually making progress. So the next thing to do would be to just give this stuff a little bit padding, this text here a little bit padding. So we can just wrap that in a container and give it a padding and give it a padding of bottom. Let's give it 4 to see how that looks. So this text will come down a little bit. Cool. Then also for the image here, we give it a padding of 4. So let's head back up. Is that the right place to give it? Let's try margin. It should be margin. So margin is going to be the outward space, the outside space. So cool, we've given it a margin of 4. So I think that is looking pretty nice. So the last thing to do would be to just add this border at the bottom of this horizontal list. And am I going to add it here? Okay, no. So I think we're done with the video list styling. So this is how the video list is going to be styled whenever you pass in the horizontal list property and set it to true. So we're actually done for this video list stuff now. So let's head out from video list and focus on the library.dat. So back in the library.dat file, we could just give this container a decoration property. So I want to just pass in the bottom border to this widget. So I would pass in border and border. Cool. So I'm actually doing this correctly. Okay, yeah. So I'll pass in the bottom and it should be the border side property. And what's that going to be? We give it a color of, let's just give it a width first of all, a width of 3, and see how that looks. Okay, so we'll give it a color of gray. Okay, 3 seems a bit too much, so I'll give it 1. So cool, that is looking nice. So we could just reduce the height of this to 205 to push it up a bit. Cool. So the next section, I think we're done for this. So the next section we're going to create is the personal section, and what that simply means is this section over here. So for that, we're going to head back down. We could close this. Oops, remove this breakpoint. So we could head back down and create a new function which returns a widget, and we're going to call it build personal. So what is build personal? Let me see how it looks like. So build personal is going to be a list with 3 items. We have the history. You have the history, my videos, and watch later. So to achieve this, I already created a simple file over here. I think because I was lazy, not lazy, I think this is just the way I'm trying to simulate it, just in case I'm getting it from an API. So I just created this list of maps. Okay, so we have this items list that has these 3 map items, which has the name and the icon. So I'm going to loop through this and display it just like we have it in the screenshot. So to achieve this, let me see. First of all, this stuff is going to be in a list view, and we're going to create each items. So no, it's not going to be in a list view. It's just going to be a list style. Let me show you how to achieve this. So enough talk, and let's just get this done. So in this function, we already have these items. So the next thing we're going to do would be to would be to let's think of the logic. Okay, so this stuff is going to be in a column, and I want to find a way to loop through all these items and display these list styles as children of the column. So to achieve this, the first thing I would do would be to do items dot map. Then we would have a function that returns no. Let's return a column. Then for the children, we're gonna pass, normally the children needs a list, so we're gonna build this list dynamically. So to achieve that, we'll just do items dot map. Then we would return a list tile. So this is going to be I, that is each item. So first of all, let's just do title and see if this stuff is actually working. So we'll do I, then name, that is the key, I.name, the argument list tag can blah blah blah. Okay, so we'll just return I, then the key name. So for this stuff, at the end of everything, we'll just call the toList function to make it a list. toList function, cool. So toList function, because of the children property, needs a list of widgets. So calling this toList function is going to make this map over here going to produce a list of list styles, so multiple list styles. So let's save this and see. It's not going to show because we haven't added it up here. So we'll copy build personal and replace this text over here. So let's see how that looks. Whew, okay, so string is not a subtype of widgets. Okay, so I'm just supposed to put this stuff into the text widget. And that should work. Cool. So you can see we're actually getting this data from this list of items over here. So that was just the basic stuff. So let's head over to complete other stuff. So let's pass it an icon. So for the icon, we'll put a leading, and we'll just pass it icon, and let's save. Cool, that is looking good. I think that is it. So for this last one over here, we are going to do something. We're going to do something different. So what you're going to do, we're going to do an if condition here, or a ternary expression. So let's see. If this stuff has, you can see this property over here, the extra property. So if I.extra do this, if I.extra do this, else do that. Let me just put text to see has extra. Let me just do this to test if the logic is actually working. Okay, so we'll say here, if I extra equals to null, if I extra must, okay, the Boolean expression must not be null. Okay, if I extra not equal to null, has extra, else print the text name. Okay, the logic is working. You can see this final stuff has extra. So I will do this. So if I extra equals to null, print out this text. Else, I want you to do something else. So let's just format this. So if it doesn't have an extra, just print out the name like we have here. But if it has an extra key, we want to print out a row, because I want to structure this stuff in a row-like format. So children, the first child is going to be the text. The first child is just going to be this over here. So I'll copy this code, and the next child is just going to be the extra text over here. Cool. So correct this and let's see how that looks. Okay, cool. So you can see everything is working well. So the last thing would be to just style this. So pass a style. So we have theme.off cool dot texting dot caption. Let's see how that looks. Oops, it's complaining about caption. So what we need to do here would be to just pass in the build context. And whenever we call this, because we're getting that caption, that text theme from the context, so we just pass this and everything should work now. So the text should be smaller with a different color. Cool. So the final thing would be to just give this stuff a padding. This extra text, we could just give it a padding. I'll just use the padding and only left. 4 should be okay. Okay, not padding, it should be margin. See, that's why I prefer using a container. So let's see. What just happened? Okay, 4. Okay, it's actually working. So we've achieved that stuff. So let's look at the screenshot, and this is actually looking good. So the next thing would be to just give it the bottom border. So to achieve that, instead of repeating myself, I could just make this stuff into a widget. So let me see. So I just want to make this stuff into a separate widget. So whenever we just need this, we just call bottom border. So I don't want to use a divider, because a divider, I don't think you can actually set the height, or the divider gives some spaces, kind of like margin, and I don't want that extra margin. So I'll just use the short form of this. It's not a widget, why? Okay, let me just do it that way. Cool. Did it work? Yeah, it worked. So we'll leave it that way. So now I could just simply come over here, and for this history I could wrap this in a container, and under my decoration I could just simply pass in the same function here. So for reusability, we could just have the same bottom border over here. Where are you? Okay, cool, we have it already here. So we could also add a quick padding of 8. I think 8 is okay. Okay, cool. So the next section is this available offline section. So let's build that. Build offline. So let's see how that looks. So it's gonna have a column and a list, and inside the column you would have this text and the list view. So let's just return a container just in case we need any of it, any feature from the container. So return a container, then we'll have the column. The first child is going to be the text. Available offline. And the next item is going to be a list style with a leading of icon. Okay, then the title is gonna be what? Downloads. title, videos, and finally we have a trailing, which is going to be an icon. Check circle, I think, yeah. Color is going to be blue, a dark blue. So build offline, let's go add it over here. Save and let's see. Okay, so the next thing would be for this column, we'll just put cross-axis alignment to start. And would also give the padding of 16. I don't think we should give the padding there, but let's see how that looks. I think the padding should be for the text. Okay, it came out good. So we'll have a decoration, and we'll just come copy this reusable stuff we've created previously, and it should have a bottom border over here. Cool. Although this looks bigger, so this looks bigger, so I think the additional spacing is from this list style. So I think we can just change the border in this stuff to only top and the left. Okay, this is better. So the final part, the next and the final part is the playlist section. So I'll try as much as possible to do that quickly. It's going to have a drop down button. So let's create the widget and build playlist, build playlist. Cool. So let's look at the structure. So this is going to be a column, and the first item is going to be this drop down button, and the next item is going to be this list tile. So let us create this. Okay, so what are we going to return? First, we return a container just in case we need to add margins or paddings. Container, put our semicolon, then we head back. Let me just put the decoration since we know we'll be using it. So build bottom border. Oh, okay, it's already added. So the next one is going to be to create the column, and we'll pass that as the child attribute. So we create the column and pass in the children. So most of all these tags are repetitive, and the idea of this series is just to get you comfortable with building layouts in Flutter. So probably in future series we'll be building some advanced full-fledged applications and not just layout. So back to this. So the first thing is going to be the drop down button. Drop down button. Cool. So put this comma and a format. So now the items is going to be a list of drop down menu items. I think drop down menu item. Cool. So it's gonna let me see what this stuff needs. It's gonna lead a list of drop down menu item. Okay, so to do that we'll just put this stuff in a list. I want to just create this stuff manually. I want to create it manually. In my currency converter video, I showed you guys how to create a more advanced drop down button. So for this one, we'll just be creating it manually. So recently added, and why is this? Okay. So the next one would be A to Z. And I think yes, it's selected. Is it selected? Okay. Oops. Yeah, it's not selected. It's just going to pick the first child. So let's save this. Let's head back to our emulator and see. So build playlist. I need to bring all the stuff down. So replace this with our new function, build playlist. And let's save and see if that is actually working. Cool. So we have this stuff, and I'm not going to actually implement the unchanged event. So we have this stuff, and same like before, we'll do our cross-axis alignment, which is the opposite axis of a column, which is the row, or the horizontal alignment. So we'll pass in start. So to take this to the left. Cool. And would leave this for now. I'll add this playlist button as we text as we progress, but let me just quickly create the list style. So the next item is going to be a list style. I'm not going to do this dynamically. I'll actually just impute everything manually. So let's bring out the screenshot. The first one is going to be leading icons dot thumbs up. What's thumbs up down? Okay, thumbs up is what I need. Thumb up. Okay, cool. Then the title is gonna be liked videos. And the subtitle is going to be the amount of videos. So that's going to be 248 videos. This tutorial, the pace of this tutorial is quite faster because most of all these things is what we've covered in the previous videos. So I'll just make a duplicate of this by hitting Ctrl D on my Android Studio. Then for this one, I'm going to do account circle and Niger music. So if you're into Nigerian music, Afrobeats, this is a good collection of Afrobeats music you could actually see on YouTube. So if you're into that, you could just check it out. So the next title is Fat Yellow Boy. He's been doing a great job. Fat Yellow Baby. He's been doing a great job in compiling top Afrobeats songs on YouTube. So 1509 videos. Cool. So let's head over to Android emulator and see. Okay, cool. So the next thing would be to just give this stuff a padding, and the padding I've been given is what? Top left. Okay, I'll just copy this. And I'll give it a padding. I don't think this playlist needs a button, but I'll remove it. We don't need it for the final stuff, so I'll remove it and just replace it with this padding. Oops, this video is already 1 hour. Wow. Okay, let me just quickly put the text over here. So for this drop down button, I'll wrap it in a row. So we could just put that text over there. Playlist. Where are you? Okay, playlist recently added. Drop down button, is there a style? Okay, let me just quickly add this. So the text of this is quite big. I want to make it small. So theme that's off. The text theme dot body one, I think. It's body one. Okay, let's see. Oops. Style. Okay, context. So we're just passing the build context. And over here, we'll pass it the context. Cool, the text is now smaller, and you could just add a padding in between this if you want to. So I would leave you to actually do that. So this has been quite a long tutorial, 1 hour 4 minutes. So in this series we've come a really long way back from the beginning over here, where we created this, to the trending screen, to the subscription screen, which I believe you created by yourself, and also to this inbox screen, which has a tab inside it, and also this dismissible stuff here. So throughout this series, the whole idea was just to get you guys comfortable with building different types of layouts in Flutter. So I hope you've learned a lot from this tutorial, and I will see you in the next series or the next video. Until then, remain blessed. Take care.